Excellent. We could talk forever.
Tim, we could talk for hours. I mean, the work you do in Dowsing, I mean, I'm in absolute awe of. I really am. And that's a whole other ballgame.
No, it's not a whole other ball game. No, and it's not phenomenal. Those are the so let's just put those back on the shelf.
So you're giving to me what I gave to you when I said I'm not an artist. I love this. So let me ask you a question. A big picture question. The biggest possible question there is, why is all this? In other words, okay, so let's say we come into this world, we live our life, we die, that spark of God returns home, as we're told, decides to come back. We can talk in terms of Hindu cycles and Buddhist cycles and so forth, but to what end? Why is God messing with us like this? What does God get out of it?
You and I are sitting here asking each other questions. When you're making a movie, you're asking yourself a question. You're asking yourself a question of, what is this? What am I going to do here? What is this trying to say? What am I going to learn from this? What does that relate to? What is that about? What does that enable me to feel? What would somebody think of that? We are aspects asking questions for the universe, for whatever consciousness is across the whole range of resonance, vibrations, across all of those dimensions, if you want to use the word dimensions. We are simply one facet of a questioning device. We are made in this form to interact with the physical world in an optimum way. We're optimized to live in this world. We human beings cover the globe. The planet is made for us, even though some of those environments are hostile. We are put into environments that we question, we ask. Everybody asks at some point, what's it about? Why is this happening? And let's face it, some of the deepest grief and losses that occur in our lives create the biggest questions for us. Those questions go back. We're in a constant transmitter and receiver process. That's what we are. As is raised in your movie, in all your movies, we are a constant stream of informational processing from moment to moment to moment. And we're asking questions all the time. Because in asking questions, we're exhibiting seemingly the opportunity to have free will, to make choices, and that affects our experience from one moment to the next. We're here because we're asking questions. It is of itself.
Okay, so we ask these questions and we get answers, and in the process, some of us acquire wisdom as against knowledge. But my question then is, to what ultimate purpose? And here's what here's what I'm getting at. Right. Creativity is expansion.
Yeah.
Love is expansion. Fear is contraction. We are in an expanding universe. Let's say that universe is consciousness. We are in an expanding consciousness. Our purpose is to make God smarter.
Smarter.
Expansion of consciousness.
Not necessarily, because the universe may be described as the Ouroboros, the snake that eats its own tail. Although in our life, we experience and perceive it as an expanding universe. If we look at the point of view of time, there is only now, in that classical kind of Eckhart Tolle way. Now is all that ever exists, ever. And so the universe is simply one moment of now building on the next one, building on the next one. What your question is coming from the perspective of an individual conscious being asking the question from its perspective. But if you look at it from the perspective of the whole, it doesn't need to be asking that particular question because it simply is itself. It is. You're searching for an answer to something that doesn't need to be expressed in that scale of wholeness, because expansion suggests improvement, suggests gathering of knowledge. If it emerges in an Ouroboros-like way on a time frame of now, there is no need for the exploration, and maybe that is the point, is that it is the paradoxical nature of the questioning that sits and simply just is of itself. And
one of the things that I say in the film, and this is new voiceover, and you may not have heard it in the version that you saw, but I say fear is a function of loss and a construct of time. So in other words, when you talk about now, when you talk about fear is always in the past or in the future. Fear is never now. Now, if you can find a way of keeping the past away and the future away, if you can be present, then you can be without fear.
Yeah.
Fear doesn't touch you. You're in this hermetically sealed kind of place where fear cannot touch you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, I won't pursue this question because I've been asking this question in my travels around the world, and talking to these extremely bright people, people that are very, very bright. I'm sort of wanting the biggest question answered to me, and that is why is all this happening? Why?
But your questioning is asking on many different on many different scales. And as you're changing the scale as we change the scale of the question, then the answer is different. Right? So the why, I repeat that you're asking the question why from your human perspective, because obviously you have to. You're Bill Bennett. You want to know the answer to this. This is, I want to know the answer. I mean, so I would say to you, so in meditation, when you sit in meditation, in that stillness, in that moment of the now, where there is no fear and there is nothing apart from you being, that you can raise that question, you can ask that question of source. You have that connection yourself. You are finding that answer.
Well, this is what I'm going to be exploring in these 5 films. It's the biggest questions possible. And look, I know what you're saying, that that it's folly.
I'm not saying it's folly. I'm not saying it's folly.
That I'm a Don Quixote,
No, mate.
At cosmic windmills. But
No,
come back to
that definitely is not what I'm saying. I think that there's an absolute value in pursuing all of those big questions. I ask them myself. I drive my wife nuts about having conversations. We go to the pub for a drink or a meal. I'll start the conversation about that sort of thing. It's like, well, what's it all about? Why is it? It's like, no, not this again. it's just
yeah. I just want my pie and chips.
And the other thing is, get yourself a pair of dowsing rods, mate. Get out there, use them. It's a very clunky way of tuning in, but it's quite an interesting one.
I think you're absolutely right, and yeah, I think I don't know that I would actually do it because I'm using this in my particular way in my work, if that makes sense. But
Why would it affect what you're currently doing?
Tim, look, I'll tell you a little secret. I really don't like doing things I'm not good at.
Okay. Seeing as we're whispering, because nobody can hear us.
That's right. And I'm leaning forward as you are.
You can't be good at everything. Everybody can dowse. Everybody can be connected to upstairs to the management. Everybody has spirit guides. Those spirit guides are always wanting us to ask the question and to introduce ourselves to them. In other words, invite them into our lives.
It is very much aligned to this notion of a personal guidance system. It really is. It's a direct extension of that. I'm really well aware of that, and no, I'm fascinated by it. I really am. And as you know, in Australia, dowsers have performed really useful functions.
Yeah.
And they're much sought after, and they work.
Yeah.
They work.
They do. It's not 100% foolproof. It's not foolproof. What is? Jeepers.
Tim, we talk about angels coming into our lives, and we talk about sometimes these being incidental meetings, occurrences, a chance word on the street, and then the person's gone, that sort of thing. But we never talk about us being angels. That we can be an angel for somebody else without us even realizing it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you are an angel to a lot of people.
As we all are, which is what you're saying.
Yeah.
This is the key thing is the recognition of our unique amazingness, right? And the recognition that everybody, absolutely every one of the 7.5 billion souls on the planet, is amazingly unique and amazing in their uniqueness. And that's the awesome thing to me. And helping, if my job is to help people see how amazing they are. And very often that is about changing tragedy into an opportunity, or trauma into an opportunity, which is what you've done as well in making the movie.
But you can only do that if you acknowledge that you are amazing yourself.
If we all acknowledge that we are amazing, yeah. Because that's what frees us from the fear.
Yeah.